Coming up on Global Business, Chinese President Xi Jinping has met with his Benin counterpart Patrice Talon in Beijing. China's central bank will cut the foreign exchange reserve requirement ratio for financial institutions effective from September the 15th. And we take a look at the latest U.S. non-farm payrolls data to gain insight into the health of the American job market. Hello and welcome to this edition of Global Business on CGTN. I'm Guanxing in Beijing. First up in the program, Chinese President Xi Jinping has met with his Benin counterpart Patrice Talon in Beijing. They announced the establishment of a strategic partnership following talks between the two sides. Xi Jinping said China supports Benin's independent exploration of a development path in line with its own reality and the early realization of the rise of Benin. He said China will strengthen exchanges of experience in governance, reform, and development with Benin and firmly support both sides' development and revitalization. He said China encourages its enterprises to invest in Benin and welcomes Benin to promote more distinctive and high-quality products to the Chinese market. Xi Jinping said China-Africa cooperation has become a model of South-South cooperation and international cooperation. China is willing to work with African brothers to achieve economic recovery and sustainable development and jointly build a community with a shared future in a new era. And Talon said high-quality cooperation and mutual benefit will promote Benin's industrialization process and help Benin achieve national development. Benin is willing to build a sincere strategic partnership with China and deepen cooperation in various fields. And Benin is working with China to improve the country's business environment for overseas investors. And these efforts have attracted more private foreign investment, including Benin's first baby diaper factory built by a Guangzhou-based Chinese company. And Huang Fei has this report.
In the port city of Cotonou in southeastern Benin, this factory is designed to manufacture more than 15 million disposable baby diapers a month. The Chinese company opened the facility less than a year ago, employing nearly 100 local staff. With an initial investment of $5 million, it's looking to expand further in the West African nation, with hopes to export to the wider region.
Having a factory here allows us to respond to market needs more quickly. Benin is politically stable and has good social order. That's a fundamental condition for us to run a steady business. Meanwhile, the Benin government is very friendly towards China and creates a favorable environment for foreign businesses.
China's decade-long industrial upgrade has seen companies moving some manufacturing to less developed regions, including parts of Asia and Africa. Benin welcomes Chinese investments as it looks to modernize industries. But the transition is not without its challenges.
Skilled workers are hard to find because the level of industrialization is still low. Resources are also in short supply compared to China. We have to import a lot of raw materials and packaging materials. Electricity supply is also not as stable.
During his state visit to Beijing, Benin's President Patrice Talon is expected to advocate for more direct investment from China. Meanwhile, China gains political capital from continuing to shore up ties with fast-growing African countries. The Beninese president's state visit to China comes just a week after the BRICS summit concluded in South Africa. The grouping of powerful emerging countries welcomed 6 new members, including 2 African nations, Egypt and Ethiopia. The expansion has been described by some as a shift in the global order. It could help reduce the borrowing costs for African nations that are currently paying high interest rates and giving the continent a greater voice in global issues.
Through China's economic and moral influence, and through the proposal of a BRICS trading system, including using local currencies to transact, countries can start to escape the exploitation from the US dollar. It's going to be an uphill battle, but the future is bright. A larger BRICS with a stronger African presence will boost the global economy and serves as a stabilizing force for the world.
Chinese companies in Benin are poised to reap the full benefits of growing regional trade, especially through neighboring Nigeria, Africa's most populous country. But experts say more needs to be done to help smaller international firms gain access to finance, markets, and skills. Huang Fei, CGTN, Guangzhou.
Chinese Premier Li Qiang met with International Monetary Fund Managing Director Kristalina Georgieva in Beijing on Friday. Li said that China's economy has continued to recover since the beginning of 2023. Looking forward, China will further strengthen policy support to advance reform and opening up. Measures will also be taken to optimize the business environment for foreign investment. Georgieva said that the Chinese economy contributes 1/3 of world economic growth. The IMF would like to work with Beijing on global issues, including maintaining a stable global supply chain. China's central bank will cut the foreign exchange reserve requirement ratio for financial institutions. The People's Bank of China said it will cut the ratio by 200 basis points to 4% from the previous 6%. The decision will take effect from September the 15th. The bank said the move aims to improve financial institutions' ability to use foreign exchange funds. Analysts say the ratio cut will contribute to lowering the dollar funding costs in the interbank market and is aimed at slowing the pace of recent yuan depreciation. The yuan in both onshore and offshore trade rose to 3-week highs after the announcement. And large commercial banks in China will pay less interest on deposits starting Friday. Major lenders, including the world's largest bank by assets, the Industrial and Commercial Bank of China, said they will cut deposit rates on one-year loans by 10 basis points to 1.55%. On longer-term deposits, we experience a steeper cut of up to 25 basis points. And this is the third coordinated cut in deposit rates of Chinese banks since last September. The lenders are acting to protect their profit margins in response to the coming rate cuts on outstanding mortgages as China steps up efforts to stimulate demand, especially in the housing market. With China's private investment funds having ballooned to a mammoth 21 trillion yuan in value, risks have grown, prompting authorities to keep a close eye on the industry's rampant growth. Some new rules concerning the supervision and administration of private investment funds take effect on September the 1st, seeking to better safeguard the healthy development of the sector, protect investors, and promote innovation. In Junyi has more.
New administrative regulation is the country's first for the private investment fund sector. It covers major issues including the obligation and the requirements of private fund managers and custodians, regulating fundraising and investment operations, identify risk levels, and strengthening overall supervision and management, as well as the legal liability of everyone involved. Experts say the regulation is needed now to solve some long-standing issues stemming from insufficient oversight.
In the past, the admittance threshold of practicing private fund in China is low. The interim and ex-post management and supervisions are insufficient, and the administrative punishments against wrongful behaviors are inadequate. So certain private fund institutions and their employees lack compliance and risk control awareness or professional abilities. Chinese private fund business being supervised by clear and standard rules will enhance the credibility and attractiveness of Chinese private funds to the public and will protect the legitimate rights and interests of private fund investors.
Unlike other existing rules which apply only to public funds and private securities investment funds, the new regulation is a basic document applying to a range of private funds, including private equity and venture capital funds. Industry insiders say the provisions applying to venture capital funds encourage more investment into innovative technology startups and shore up the real economy.
Many innovative startups are facing cash flow pressure, and it's quite difficult for those that have yet to gain profitability to raise capital from banks. To them, investments from venture capital funds are very important. The healthy development of the private investment fund sector and standardization of venture capital funds, improvements like these made in the financial industry will gradually support the real economy.
Experts also note that the implementation of the new regulations could well result in a reduction in the overall number of private investment funds nationwide, as they will lead to the deregistration of unqualified institutions. A related report on the State Council's website says that of May, China had some 22,000 private investment managers running approximately 153,000 funds. Ying Junyi, ICS for CGTN, Shanghai.
And now we're heading for a short break. Still to come on the program. We take a look at the latest U.S. non-farm payrolls data to gain insight into the health of the American job market.
The world economy as we know it is about to change. Global business reports highlight emerging markets, developing countries, and dynamic sectors worldwide. We feature top analysts and newsmakers to provide perspectives on every facet of business. From an on-the-ground perspective, we provide you with balanced and objective assessments. Fast, sharp, and insightful. Global Business. Only on CGTN.
And now moving on to some other headlines we're tracking at this hour. The U.S. non-farm payrolls in August came out at 187,000, exceeding expectations. But the unemployment rate rose to 3.8%. British house prices saw a decrease of 5.3% in August on a yearly basis, the biggest annual drop since July 2009. And that came as higher interest rates reduced demand from buyers. The Bank of England has hiked rates 14 times since December 2021. And Japanese companies spending on plants and equipment in the second quarter gained 4.5% on a yearly basis. But this was much lower than market expectations, and that was the lowest pace of growth in 5 quarters, reflecting concerns about the health of the global economy. Japan's population is aging and shrinking at the fastest rate ever. The number of migrant workers rose by 11% last year, but that's not enough to make up for the shortfall. Forecasts predict Japan would need 4 million more non-Japanese residents by 2040 to fill labor shortages. Experts say the country may need to change its working culture if it wants to attract more foreign talent. Chris Gilbert reports from Tokyo.
Settling down in Japan can be a baffling and difficult experience. But according to statistics, more foreigners are doing it than ever before, bucking Japan's depopulation trend. While every prefecture in the country saw its Japanese population shrink in 2022, they all saw the population of foreign residents grow. One of them is Edo Oliver, a Tokyo-based magazine editor. He's called Japan home for 7 years and finds its society welcoming and safe. However, he says all the newcomers entering Japan will find limited opportunities without strong Japanese skills.
But I think the market is small, to be honest, because unless you're like a perfectly bilingual individual, you are really limited to either international companies that are interested in hiring someone who only speaks a certain language. I work in a Japanese company where my day-to-day is mostly in Japanese and I have to work in Japanese. So I think it also depends on your skill level.
Another expat, Donald Arnold, has spent twice as long here working in education, marketing and product management. But he's encountered similar challenges and says Japanese companies could be doing more to lock in talent that's already here.
If you really want workers, that diversity, but also their experience as well, like just being able to kind of give them a support framework when they first come in the first year. Of course, most companies give people like a year contract, but within that year contract, you invest in them and they can see the investment and they feel welcome as workers to make them want to stay.
Observers say it's an obstacle that may prevent Japan from utilizing the full potential of its 3 million foreign residents. Immigrants with low Japanese skills have traditionally found work in English environments as teachers, recruiters, and IT specialists. But forecasts show in the next 15 years, Japan needs to more than double its current expat population to fill shortages in Japanese language jobs in service, tourism, and labor. Experts say Japan could meet this goal by targeting highly skilled Japanese-speaking workers while making workplaces more foreigner-friendly.
We need to transform our work environment into one that is more English-friendly, one that is able to bring people in from overseas, help them assimilate into society, adapt to culture, access services that oftentimes are difficult to do. And right now, the country is not necessarily equipped to do those things.
The government says reversing depopulation is its top priority. This year, it's already announced another $25 billion into childcare to incentivize new families. But at a time when countries around the world are trying to attract young talent, experts say Japan needs to do more to incentivize new long-term residents who can help lift the country out of its current economic woes. Chris Gilbert for CGTN in Tokyo.
And now we're heading for another short break. Still to come on the program. One of the world's most comprehensive fairs for trade and services will kick off tomorrow in Beijing, where more than 2,200 companies from around the world are set to attend.
We are all connected. Across borders, across continents, connected by ideas, a shared humanity. Stay connected.
This year's China International Fair for Trade and Services will open on Saturday. President Xi Jinping will deliver a video address. It's one of the largest and most comprehensive services fairs in the world. It will last 5 days and has the theme Openness Leads Development, Cooperation Creates a Win-Win Future. The fair has over 200 events, including forums and negotiations. 75 countries and international organizations have confirmed their participation, and more than 2,200 companies will take part in exhibitions offline. And next, let's take a look at trade and services and what it exactly means.
So, what exactly is trade in services and why does it matter? According to the World Trade Organization, trade in services encompasses the exchange and provision of intangible products. This includes services across diverse sectors such as transportation, tourism, telecommunications, advertising, and more. Trading services operates now in the following 4 modes: cross-border delivery, overseas consumption, commercial presence of natural persons. Trading services has been expanding rapidly, especially in China. Statistics reveal that the total value of China's service imports and exports in 2022 neared 6 trillion yuan, or $1 trillion mark, marking a 12.9% annual surge, a record high and the world's second largest for the 9th consecutive year. During the first half, China's service trade sustained its upward trajectory, rising 8.5% on a yearly basis. Notably, within this growth, knowledge-intensive service trade constitute a substantial 43.5% of the overall service trade volume. At the upcoming 2023 edition of the China International Fair for Trade and Services, the spotlight will be on the global stage. The United Kingdom, as the guest of honor and co-host of the CIFTIS this year, is assembling the most extensive exhibition contingent in its history. With participation from 51 countries and 24 international organizations, the event will continue playing its role as an important platform for global exchange and trade cooperation.
As a guest country of honor, the UK will send its largest business group in 4 years to attend this year's Trading Services Fair. And for more, let's cross to my colleague Li Jianhua in London. Hi there, Jianhua, good to see you. So what are the expectations of the UK business community for the upcoming Services Trade Fair?
Yes, Guan Xi, you're right. The UK is planning to send its largest trade delegation to China in 4 years. And as far as we know, that there are about 60 British companies, organizations that will be attending this year's event. Of course, senior level officials will also be attending and have some policy dialogues with their Chinese counterparts. Some of the big names include AstraZeneca, BP, China, HSBC, and the Standard Chartered. And according to official figures, let's have a look at the China-UK services trading. It witnessed tremendous growth over the past year in 2022. And according to Tom Simpson from CBBC, or China-Britain Business Council, he says that he sees a big opportunity for British services in China in areas in education and finance. And of course, we know that before the event, the British Foreign Secretary James Cleverly had a visit to China, which was one of the first high-level exchanges between the two countries in 5 years. And it was widely perceived as an effort to repair ties and diplomacy. Guan Xin.
Well, we can see that there is a very robust trade relations in services sector. In 2022, the UK services exports to China were worth about £670 million, increasing by 7.2% year-on-year, while the country imported about £800 million of Chinese services last year, rising more than a third year-on-year. Jianhua, tell us more about China-UK cooperation in financial services, which is vital to bilateral trade.
That is one of the highlights that the UK and leading British enterprises will showcase in this year's event, according to CBBC. When it comes to the UK, we know that London is one of the world's financial centres, and London Stock Exchange accounts for 43% of foreign exchange trading every year. When it comes to its banking sector, we know London is the centre for foreign banks. You can find about 180 foreign banks or their branches in the city. When it comes to fintech or financial technology, we know that London boasts of the second best ecosystem for financial technology development. Hong Kong is also quite strong, and we see a lot of cooperation between Hong Kong and London in the field of fintech. And the city is also quite strong in currency trading, insurance and equity trading. In China, it's the world's second largest economy. We know that both parties have a lot to offer. And UK-China strategic plan for financial services in 2016 permitted both parties' financial firms to get access to each other's markets easily. And in 2019, Shanghai London Stock Connect was launched. It was one of the notable examples of financial services cooperation between the two countries. And in June, Chinese Vice President Han Zheng met the Lord Mayor of London, Nicholas Lyons. Both parties said that financial services cooperation will be a driver of practical cooperation. But in the meantime, we have to bear that in mind, that the business community can feel the political tension between China and the UK. And some UK lawmakers referred to Taiwan as an independent country a couple of days ago during James Cleverly's visit to China. So they can feel that. And in an annual sentiment survey among British businesses conducted by British Chamber of Commerce in China in April, in the report, it says 70% of the respondents said they would take this wait-and-see approach to see what the government will do to revitalize and stimulate the Chinese market. Back to you, Guan Xin.
And there's some caution in the business community, but at least the visit of the foreign minister can start the two sides engaging more with each other and boost the business ties. And thank you very much for the update. That was CGTN's Li Jianhua in London. A grand shopping festival has kicked off in Chengdu in the southwest of China for the second year as part of the Chinese Commerce Ministry's wider campaign to boost consumption. The two-month event includes online shopping, food, home products, new energy cars, and a night economy. The China Media Group, CGTN's parent company, is also an organizer of the event. Chengdu is one of China's most popular cities and is celebrated globally for its world-class cuisine and rich cultural heritage. Over the summer, the city in Sichuan province has attracted millions of tourists from across China, boosting the local economy and helping the city rebound from COVID-19. And Zheng Songwu reports.
China's Ministry of Culture and Tourism estimates that around 1 billion people have traveled inside the country over the course of July and August. Chengdu is recognized as one of the top tourist cities for the period. One of the most popular attractions there is Jingli, an ancient street dating back to the Qing dynasty that offers a glimpse into Chengdu's rich culture and history.
I came to Chengdu yesterday with my mom, and the weather was poor in the daytime, but we visited the wide and narrow alley in the evening, which was good. Today, we visited here and the nearby Wuhou Shrine, where the Red Wall, famous online, was beautiful to see in real life. This afternoon, we'll visit the People's Park too.
My team members and I participated in the wushu competition in Sichuan's Emeishan City before, and we've been in Chengdu since yesterday. Today we'll visit Wuhou Shrine, and this afternoon we want to visit the wide and narrow alley. The people in Chengdu, or Sichuan province I should say, are very warm-hearted and friendly to us.
While attractions like Jingli in Chengdu attract visitors from across the country, museums have also become popular as officials of Chengdu further develop cultural and historical sites.
The Chengdu Museum stands out as a popular museum in Sichuan province. Since its new venue opened in 2016, it has welcomed almost 16 million visitors, according to the official sources. For tourists, it serves as an excellent place to visit during the summer holiday.
The Chengdu Museum records the history of Chengdu by showcasing its cultural relics and traditional costumes. It also displays Chinese puppetry, as well as the history and evolution of Chinese characters. We also hold cultural activities in the museum. During the Chengdu FISU Games in late July and early August, the museum was open from Monday to Sunday. Usually, it closes on Monday. 800,000 people have visited here over the summer holiday.
In July, the city's retail sales reached an impressive $28 billion. As per official statistics, the figures for August are still pending, but there's optimism for success. 郑颂 CGTN 成都 Sichuan Province.
And that would do it for this edition of Global Business on CGTN. Thank you for being with us. The Point with Liu Xing is coming up next. Stay tuned.